Well, breaking news on Capitol Hill. Congressman Jim Jordan is not seeking a third vote for House Speaker. So let's get right to it. Let's head on over to CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion. Nikole, we talked earlier about how there seemed to be a strategy amongst Republicans, though, to almost a little bit set him up that with each vote he was going to get fewer and fewer Republicans. And in fact, the last two votes, he lost support. I wondered how long he was going to go on. Clearly, we have our answer. He's not going on anymore.
Well, let's be clear about this. What he is saying is that he is not going to move forward with a third ballot where, we've seen what we've witnessed over the last 2 days where everybody kind of names their candidate of choice in a roll call vote. What we do know is that Jim Jordan does intend to stay in this race, but he's trying to buy himself a little more time. As we have also discussed on this program several times now, there have been these proposals floating about putting up Patrick McHenry, who is the Speaker Pro Tem, empowering him with the capability to serve for a longer period of time, granting him those additional powers to be able to at least resume legislative business. And so that seems to be the path that we're moving forward on right now, that McHenry, if this is approved, that McHenry would serve in this interim capacity through January, and the thinking is this would give Jordan some more time to build support. And this is significant because both Jordan has made this point as well as former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. I mean, I just was talking to the former speaker in this very position about 24 hours ago, and what he said is, look, last year I had from November all the way to January to try to garner support for my speakership. We need to give Jim Jordan some more time. He's only had 48 hours. And Jim Jordan made a similar point yesterday as well. So this appears to be an attempt to give him more of that runway, more of that space to try to coalesce the conference and in the interim have Patrick McHenry serve in the capacity of Speaker. The only question mark is whether or not there are enough votes to bring this McHenry resolution forward and whether there's enough support for members to move ahead with that plan. Some Democrats have indicated a willingness to do that, some Republicans as well. But again, our magic number remains the same, that this proposal would also need 217 votes.
So Nikole, a Speaker Pro Tem, are they empowered with all the responsibilities and all the legislative power that a House Speaker would have, or are they? I mean, I feel like we're sort of in uncharted territories in the modern era. Yeah. Maybe it happened, back in the 19th century. I don't know.
Well, we are in uncharted waters, and that is currently the issue. There is a Speaker Pro Tem. Again, Patrick McHenry has been serving in this capacity for the better part of 2+ weeks, but his hands are tied. His sole role is to preside over the election of a new speaker, and so short of that, that is why the House has not been able to resume with legislative business. So what members are proposing is that he get some additional power to at least allow those functions to be able to occur so that it's more than just kind of, at this point in time, a ceremonial role, and that he can actually have that function of being able to move legislation forward, which is critical because we know President Biden is on the verge of introducing this $100 billion foreign aid package to assist Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan, shore up the U.S.-Mexico border. Can't get done unless there's a speaker. We have this funding deadline, November 17th. Funding for the government was temporarily extended for about 45 days. We're less than a month away from that new deadline. Need a speaker to get that done. So the hope is by empowering McHenry to at least allow that kind of legislative business to move forward, that they can keep doing the business of the Congress, but also give Jim Jordan that space to build support for a more permanent speakership.
But if you are a voter and you are a voter who generally supports the Republican Party and votes for Republican candidates in the House of Representatives, aren't you sort of thinking to yourself, if these guys can't get their act together on something as simple as choosing a leader for the majority, how can we continue to empower them at the polling booth? And so I wonder what the mood among, sort of cut and dried Republicans is this morning because it doesn't look good. I mean, they can say, look, we got to figure out what we need to do, and it's going to take us 3 months, and so give us, but like it just is a bad look at, as you say, Nikole, a critical time in this country's history.
I just thought, there's sort of so much wrangling over every single step. I mean, even if they can agree that let's give, an extension to our temporary speaker, then there's going to be a whole other debate about, well, what additional responsibilities should we empower him with, right? And so there's going to be a disagreement about that.
Right, exactly. Good point.
Yeah, just a general lack of consensus within the party has got to be making some of these representatives really nervous.
Well, I did talk to Congressman Mike Lawler just yesterday about that. I mean, he represents a swing district in New York, Long Island, and I asked him about whether or not that's kind of kicking the can down the road if they move forward with McHenry for a certain period of time. And he said no, because time is really of essence. I mean, there is business that needs to be handled right now. And, I think if you pull back and do the 30,000-foot view, and I think it's been clear in our reporting over the last 2.5 weeks, there are some very deep fractures within this Republican conference. And I think to expect that gets resolved overnight is probably unrealistic. And so that is why a lot of these members are saying, we need more time. We have heard that cry really from members over these last couple of weeks. I mean, yes, there are some who are tired with the meetings, tired of the therapy sessions, and just want to get back to the business of legislating. But as we have also seen, every time a new candidate's name is brought up, it's hard for them to find consensus. And I have had some members say, no, give us that space and time to do that. And so, it kind of cuts both ways. I think if Republicans are to be thoughtful about this, then perhaps it does make sense to give them some space. But if they continue to duke it out and they just can't get there, then yes, one might question, what's the point?
So one last thing, Nikole. In addition to this breaking news, we had the breaking news that former President Trump's lawyer, Sidney Powell, is pleading guilty in that Georgia case. Former President Trump was a vocal supporter of Jim Jordan and had his, what does he always say in his tweets, his full support, and yet for Republicans who continue to stand by the president, I mean, everybody, it seems recently that the former president is supporting loses.
Well,
right?
the last 3 speakers were all big fans of Donald Trump and him fans of them.
Yeah, but even like in actual elections,
That's true,
right?
Yeah.
The people that he's throwing his support behind are losing elections, and in this case, Jim Jordan is losing this bid for speakership. Are Republicans starting to finally, and I know the news is new, but this concept isn't new, that, look, Donald Trump is not the kingmaker that perhaps some people make him out to be?
Yeah, well, I think there are some differences of opinion within the Republican conference on that. I mean, keep in mind, a lot of members of Congress have endorsed him and intend to stick by him. But, it is an individual decision for many members, particularly those who are in more vulnerable swing districts, which I think is why some of them are having some difficulty with Jordan, because it's like, is this really a guy that you can campaign with in 2024? We heard from Ken Buck, who had expressed some reservations about Jim Jordan and, for instance, his position on the 2020 election. He just wanted some kind of guarantee from Jordan that he would say publicly that Trump lost the 2020 election, and he claims he didn't necessarily get that. So it is a factor and a decision for some members, but at the same token, as we know, the former president has a very strong base, and that includes here in this Congress, and I don't necessarily expect that would recede.
All right, Nikole Killion for us on the Hill. As always, Nikole, we appreciate your reporting. Thank you.